she has a 10 women membership card.
What makes a good writer? Or how can I become a better writer? And that's a difficult question to answer, isn't it? I thought about it for a long time, and I finally decided that there were two basic ways that we can become good writers. I consider myself a writer too. I write a very great deal, and I know that sometimes it can be very frightening. We can't think of anything to say. We can't think of how to put what we want to say. It can be a very frightening thing. But I will tell you that I've always believed that we should do something that scares us every single day. Only way to grow, and growing is our life's work. So here are two things that I thought about on how to become a better writer. One is, I would only write about something I felt passionate about. The second thing I would think about is that we need to learn to write with our own voice. Now that is exceedingly difficult to do. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life story because it's not only difficult to do as a writer, it's difficult to become your own person. Sometimes that's a life's work, is to become your own person and then write about what you have discovered and your individual way of looking at things. Now, when I was young, I was very interested in Robert Louis Stevenson. I thought he was the most wonderful author I had ever read when I was a child, and I read and reread his novels, trying to copy him in every single way. And that is not a good thing to do. I think we can read somebody for inspiration, but we must be able to put our own stamp on it. While old, you have developed into a work of art. Europe on a naval cruiser, and I was unpacking his luggage. I found a stack of love letters to him from my private secretary, Lucy Mercer. I offered him a divorce, but in the end, we decided that we would continue together. It was only a few years later when the children and I were at Campobello in New Brunswick, and that was Franklin's family's cabin. He loved it there. He came up to join us and said that he was going to go for a swim before dinner. He told me that he was not feeling very well, and he thought he was coming down with a cold, but he would go up the stairs and try to get warm, and everything would be fine in the morning. I watched him as he went up the stairs, and that was the last time that I saw him walk unaided. The next morning, he said his legs were feeling numb and strange. We called the doctor, who said it was only a cold. And within a few days, he was unable to move his legs at all. We had to get him off the island and to a hospital in New York. He did not complain. He was very stoic. And from that time forward, it looked as though any career he might have had would be over. I can only remember breaking down twice in my life, and once was shortly after that had happened. I was reading a bedtime story to the two youngest boys, and I started to cry, and I couldn't stop crying. I sobbed and sobbed. Someone came and put the two children to bed, and I locked the door and stayed there crying for some time. Finally, I mopped my face with a cold cloth and decided to go on. That was the only choice that there was. Franklin eventually ran for presidency of the United States. I did not want him to become president, but I knew that was purely selfish on my part, so I never mentioned it to anyone except to you. I tried to become Franklin's eyes and ears. I went everywhere to try to see what people in the United States were doing. Down into coal mines, into prisons. My secretary told me once that one morning when I had left to tour a prison very early in the morning, before Franklin was up, when he awoke, he asked where I was. And the secretary said, "Mr. President, Mrs. Roosevelt is in prison."